Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls Remastered PvP and another weapon showcase. Today we are taking a look at the Greatsword, the Ultra Greatsword. This weapon is one that is pretty good and is so often left behind. It's overshadowed by the Zweihander, and that's a shame because this weapon has a lot of benefits that are the same as that other one, and it also has a few extra bonuses, but we'll get into the details momentarily. Let's get started with the basics. This weapon requires 28 strength and 10 dexterity. Its scalings don't change throughout all of its upgrades, so C scaling in strength and a D scaling in dexterity will be a constant from plus 5 through plus 15. That said, base damage wise, at plus 5 your base damage will be 195, at plus 10, 260, and at plus 15, 312. That combined with the decent strength scaling means this weapon can hit pretty hard. So that's always helpful, and it's nothing unique to this weapon because it is something that's pretty consistent across the Ultra Greatsword class. Now that said, let's get into the pros and the cons. This weapon, like all other greatswords, or rather Ultra Greatswords, will have, as I said, high damage, but it's got particularly strong R2 attacks. The R2s on this weapon, unlike most of the other weapons in the class, are actually a thrusting attack. Therefore, they do work with a Leo Ring, which, as you guys know, is something I am very fond of. Dealing an extra 68% damage on top of already very damaging hits is, well, it's a nice thing. It's pretty devastating when you do land a counter hit with that R2. So, that's always nice. On top of that, though, this weapon does have a decently long reach, so with any of your attacks, you can actually take advantage of that reach, and if you do that, your opponent won't be able to parry you if you keep them at a decent distance. In order to parry in this game, of course, you have to be pretty much right on top of your opponent in order to actually get the parry to work. Otherwise, it'll just end up being a partial or a missed parry. So, taking advantage of this weapon's long reach is always a good thing. On top of that, though, like all Ultra Greatswords, this weapon does have a phenomenal poise break, and you'll be able to stagger your opponents very easily, you'll be able to stun lock them very easily, and you can just R1 spam them once they get caught, unless they know how to toggle, so that's helpful as well. Now the cons. So first and foremost, this weapon is a tad slow. Because it's a tad slow, it is easily parried. On top of that, it is a little bit difficult to actually use with the Leo Ring. Reason being, it's a little heavy. So this is going to be a weapon that weighs 12 units. Most weapons that you would want to use with the Leo Ring are a tad lighter than that, so it makes it easier to manage the equipment load and all that. But with this weapon, you're gonna have a bit of a harder time. So with my build in particular, what I've chosen to do throughout a few different fights in the video, I've actually put on different armor sets. So I'll go some fights with a Leo Ring, some fights without a Leo Ring. The fights without a Leo Ring, I'm going with my normal standard armor set. The fights with a Leo Ring, if I'm going to be medium ruling anyway, then I figured, hey, why not put on some armor that has more poise? That way, if I get hit, I won't get stunned out of my swing. So, there are ways to take advantage of this. Another way that I did recently on stream was using Dragon Form, actually, which was very satisfying, using the Dragon Form with Havel's Great Shield's buff for infinite poise. That way, I don't have to worry about the weight of armor. I don't have to worry about anything along those lines. So, there are some really creative ways you can use the heavier weapons. That's one of the ones that I personally am a fan of. That said, the other major con of the weapon, and one of the biggest nerfs to the weapon in the remaster, is of course the lack of dead angles. They're not a thing anymore, so it is something that I do have to mention. It makes this weapon a lot less dangerous than it used to be. That said, guys, this is going to be the last fight right here. I hope you have enjoyed the video, found it helpful in one way or another. Like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time.